What's up, guys? It's Jay, MorninAfterKill, and I'm back here for the second time today. What? Earlier, I put up a Halo 5 video of some funny-ass noobs getting fucked up repeatedly on my second match ever in the game, which, needless to say, did not go very well. But the actual video is doing fairly decent. And I originally planned to use some Trials of Osiris footage from last week for today's Q&A, but I figured, you know what? You guys seemed to respond fairly well to the Halo video earlier, and I enjoyed playing myself this morning, getting acclimated back into the Halo side of things. And you know, I was never one to play a huge amount of Halo in my time, but I'm familiar enough with the series and the mechanics to still do semi-decent, kind of alright. So, fuck it! I hope you guys enjoy some of that 60 frame per second gameplay. You don't get to see that while we put up the Destiny videos. I do apologize. The game's only in 30 frames per second. You wanna holler at somebody? Holler at Bungie! But now, I feel like it's time to give you guys a little bit of A to those Q's. But before we do, don't forget to leave a question in the comment section down below, and I'll pick a few of them to answer in next week's Q&A. But the first A that we're gonna explore comes from Christian Foshi, who wants to know why I collect shoes. Wait, what? Yeah, actually, if you don't follow me on social media and you only watch me on the YouTubes, that this might come to you as a surprise. But I like shoes. I like shoes a lot. I have about 50-some pairs of shoes at the moment. And you know, I was always a big fan of shoes, because if you look at the time that I grew up, it's kind of hard not to like shoes. Growing up in the time that I did, grew up in the 80s, and if you look in history, you know, before the 80s, there wasn't any huge sports figures with like huge endorsement contracts or their own sneaker. I mean, you had the assholes on the Wheaties box. That's about it. That all changed when Michael Jordan busted on the scene and announced his partnership with Nike and his new line of Air Jordans. But it wasn't until like the end of 1989, going on 1990. God damn. Think about it, that's 26 fucking years ago. Damn. Time flies. But I remember this because I was going back to school and I was having trouble not writing the 8 instead of the 9 in 1990. So I was doing a piece of punishment paper that I had to write, "I will not flash the lights on and off," like 1,000 times, because my bitch-ass, cunt-ass teacher, Miss Leary, didn't like the fact that I flicked the lights on and off. But I remember going back to school in 1990 and everything changed. Everyone showed up to school wearing the brand new Air Jordan 4s. Black, red, with the air bubble visible for the first time in sneaker history. Whoo! They were too hot to hold. And also too expensive to afford. I couldn't even afford a pair of the fake-ass LA Gear catapults from Kmart, the old Karl Malones, which are like $45. But thankfully, Adidas with their shell tops saved my fucking life back then, being like $29.99 for a pair of shell tops back in the day. And, you know, they're a reasonably name brand, recognizable shoe. You had Run DMC run all over the place wearing these things. People actually saw they were cool, you know? It wasn't like some pair of Bobos running to school. People were like, "What are those?" Because even though they weren't going, "What are those?" back in the day, they used to get down and brush off the tip of your shoe. Be like, "Man, get the fuck off my shoe! Poor motherfucker! Y'all gotta clean my shit, man. Ah, shit. But, yeah. Year after year after year. Jordan after Jordan after Jordan. But none for me. Just shell tops for days. But last year, when I quit smoking, I realized that I had like $200 to $300 left over each month. Just from not spending it on smoking anymore. So I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna save that money and actually have something to show for it instead of a blackened pair of lungs and a raspy voice. And this year they released a ton of shoes that I really liked, and I got caught up into sneaker culture, and I met some really cool people on social media through it. So yeah, I guess a part of sneaker collecting is not just being able to have something from my childhood that I couldn't afford, but it's the satisfaction of being able to buy something for myself that I couldn't afford growing up, and which is still reasonably expensive these days. $180, $190 for a pair of shoes is quite fucking expensive. But it's the satisfaction of being able to afford them for myself is one of the reasons why I love shoes and why I love staring at my shoe collection all day long. I pick them up and I look at them, I smell them. Oh, that brand new leather. I also figure, you know, since a lot of you guys are really interested in my shoes on the social medias, sometime in this year I'm going to set up a small recording studio in my shed, do some sneaker showcases on some of my favorite shoes that I own out of my own personal collection. Maybe possibly do some giveaways, because I do have duplicates of some shoes waiting around, just because there's some shoes that you buy the rock, and there's some shoes that you buy to stock. And the second question comes from Big Ant, who has a wall of text but basically wants to know my opinions on the Scared Straight programs for at-risk teens. Alright, that's a hell of a question, Big Ant. So, first off, let me give you guys a little bit of a background. For those of you that don't know, I've gotten myself in a metric ass ton of trouble as a teenager, and I ended up spending some time locked up for a bunch of months. It's not funny, and it's not something that I'm terribly proud of, but it was a hell of an experience. Now, Scared Straight programs are programs designed to scare the living shit out of kids before they get to the point of being locked up. And what they do is they take these kids to prison and they let them spend a day hearing some fuckboy ass busters who got locked up on some bullshit ass non-violent charges trying to get out of jail earlier by pretending to be murderers on death row. Those motherfuckers ain't hardcore actual murderers. You think they're gonna take kids and throw them in a room with people that have violent tendencies? Fuck no! And the kids know this. They know the inmates can't touch them. They can't lay a hand on them. So most of the kids go and just don't really give a fuck, and they let all the shit that people are saying there go right over their heads. Now, even though they're not violent offenders or convicted murderers, they still got some real ass shit to say about life in prison. But they're still not convicted murderers. But in my opinion, that's not the way you scare the shit out of kids, alright? Because I've been there and I've gone through this process. I'm gonna tell you the shit that scares the shit out of a kid. Scare the shit out of some kids. We talked about it like last week or the week before. It's the whole not knowing process. So what you do is you start a program where, you know, before you do all this, you get the parents' consent, because the parents are going to come up to you and be like, hey, you know, my kid's a rotten fucking scoundrel and he's going to be ended up in fucking jail getting fucked in the pooper. You know, can you do something to help my kid not get raped? So what you do is you put them through a program where these kids actually go through the entire process and are none the wiser, but it's set up behind the scenes. So you have the parents come home with a real ass looking subpoena for court, and you take them through the process of being scared as fuck Gotta dress up, take the day off to go to court on some bullshit-ass truancy charges, right? So they're gonna be like, this is some bullshit charges. All their buddies are gonna be like, don't worry about it. You're going, you didn't go to school or whatever. Ha, ha, ha. Maybe or something you prove yourself, right? You're just gonna go in there cocky as fuck, smirking and laughing their ass off with their guard down, right? Boom! Have the fake-ass judge throw the book at them. You take them in the back for holding throughout the whole proceedings, sitting there in the cell by themselves, handcuffed wrist to ankle, wondering where they fucked up. Waiting for all the other kids that are there in court, going through this program, to get the book thrown at them from the judge too. And then, you take all them kids, and you toss them ass in the goddamn wagon, and you haul their asses away to a juvenile lockdown facility for 7 days. But you don't tell them how long they're gonna be there for, because let me tell you something. When that door shuts for the first time, and you realize that no matter what, no matter how hard you try, you are not leaving that room, reality sinks in fast. Real fast. Real hard. And it's a tough fucking pill to swallow. I tell you what. If that don't scare them straight, then nothing will, sadly. And now we come to the titular question from Marcel M, who wants to know, in my time smoking weed in my life, was I ever tempted to do or try any hardcore drugs, such as heroin or cocaine? Alright, let's back this train on up. I told you guys I've done a lot of stupid shit in my life, and doing a bunch of drugs is one of them. But I want to iterate this fact. Number one, I don't consider weed a drug, and number two, I didn't try or start doing other drugs because I smoked weed. Weed wasn't a gateway type of thing for me. Neither were cigarettes. In fact, the first time that I've ever drank alcohol in my life was when I was 2 years old. And my mother fed me and my brother some Budweiser beer and sour cream and onion potato chips because that was the only thing we had to eat inside the house. And my first time ever getting drunk, I was 5 years old. What? I know! The adults in my life were just terrible parents. 5 fucking years old. I never really had a chance, honestly. It's a wonder I've made it this far in life. But, yeah, when I was 5, it was a New Year's Eve party, and I grabbed a cup off the table of what I thought was water, and I drank it. I just downed the shit out of it. It was not water. It was a full cup of Sambuca licorice flavored liqueur. Now, let me back this up before we go any further, right? I've done a lot of drinking in my life, but never once have I ever, while drinking, was like, let me pour a full glass of fucking liquor. That's fucking gross, especially Sambuca. It's licorice flavored liquor. It's disgusting. To this day, I still hate the taste of licorice, and I'm pretty sure this is why, but I remember this loud and clear. I could even go and point out the house to you right now that this happened to me. It's that vivid and that clear in my mind. But I remember I downed the cup. It was a blue clear glass, and I just poured that shit back, and within minutes, vision was blurry and I was staggering all the fuck over. And they were like, get him outside, get him some air. And I puked, like projectile vomited puke, like cartoon, unrealistically, just shooting out of my mouth, puked all over the fucking driveway for about an hour straight. And I passed out on the couch. And I think if I didn't puke so quick, so much, and for so long, I probably would have died from alcohol poisoning, and nobody in the house was smart enough to take me to the fucking hospital. Like, yeah, you got a 5-year-old kid here who just drank a fucking tall glass of hard liquor. Nobody wants to get him to the doctor? No? Alright. Just let him sleep it off on the couch. You get me? My mind's fucking blown, but whatever. Ever since then, you know, growing up, me and my brother, my cousins, we'd always sneak beers from the barbecues out of the cooler, and we would drink them on the side of the house. And, you know, my aunt, she would always have a cup of iced tea with vodka in it, and, you know, they were all fucked up, having fun at the barbecues and shit. And, you know, when they were fucked up, they weren't really watching. You know, me and my cousins, we would always, like, run by and we'd, like, take big-ass sips of their shit and get all fucked up and go swimming. I mean, it's safe to say that I've been getting it in for a majority of my life since I didn't smoke weed till what? I was like 11 years old the first time I smoked weed. But I've already been drunk well more than 10 times before then. First time I smoked weed, it was a fucking relief, honestly. I was like, holy shit, I can get fucked up and it wears off in a few hours and I don't feel like shit afterwards? What? So, yeah, I could have turned out to be a huge alcoholic before I turned 18 if it wasn't for me trying weed at such a young age. But, yeah, I've experimented quite a bit. I've done some ecstasy, I've done a bit of acid, I've also eaten shrooms once, but they didn't do shit to me, so I don't really count that as actually eating the shrooms. I've done a bunch of cocaine, like a good amount of cocaine in my early 20s, but I never really caught a habit off of it since, you know, like I said, I've seen a few of my members of my family go down the crackhead, heroin addict route. My aunt, the one that I told you we just used to steal all the vodka off of, she died of a heroin and cocaine overdose when I was like, what, 13, somewhere around there. So yeah, I've always kept my mind right when it comes to that shit. You know, I've never let myself slip or get caught up, but you know, not everyone can do that. It takes a very strong person, strong will of mind to not get caught up on that shit, because it grabs some people harder than it does others, you know. And there also was one time when I ended up smoking heroin, but that wasn't on purpose. I don't want to talk about it right now, and I just say I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. And now, finally, for that question that everyone has been waiting for, Zesty Walrus wants to know, Mac, are you gonna be covering the game Battleborn? And more specifically, I guess I'll talk about some other games that I'm looking forward to, but we'll talk about that more in like 2016, like around January 1st. I like to put up a video like, oh, what's coming on my channel in 2016. You guys know what the fuck's up, right? You guys watch YouTube, you know how it is. But, will I be buying or covering the game Battleborn? No. For those of you guys that don't know, Battleborn is a first-person League of Legends MOBA-style shooting game made by Gearbox, which they call a hero shooter. They are the developer behind Borderlands 2, which is kind of a taboo subject around here. So, I will say, without injecting anything personal or my own opinions about Gearbox themselves or their games, no, I will not be covering Battleborn. Speaking factually, outside of my own opinion, Gearbox games outside of the Borderlands franchise have not reviewed very well by gaming and media journalists. Remember, this is facts, nothing to do with my own opinion. So based on that fact, not opinion, indisputable fact, I will not be purchasing Battleborn. If you also look at games like Paladins, which is free-to-play, first-person MOBA, kind of in the same genre, is going to be coming on all consoles as well as the highly received Overwatch from Blizzard. All coming to consoles this year. Blizzard's Overwatch will be $40. Paladins, like I said, will be free-to-play. And Battleborn, at the moment, is going to be a $59.99 release full, full retail price release. Now, personally, I see more value in Overwatch being cheaper and Paladin being a free-to-play game. Also, based on the developer's past track record, Blizzard, they made World of Warcraft, and Hi-Rez Studios is most known for making Smite. Both games with great pedigrees and well-received within their genres. So, for the fact, remember, the fact, not personal opinions, beliefs, or views by MorninAfterKill, I will not be spending my money on Battleborn. However, I will be giving Overwatch and Paladins a shot as well as some of other games releasing in 2016. Most notably, there's going to be a month or two where, just like last year, I'm going to be uploading quite a bit of South Park vidges because I really did enjoy the Stick of Truth. And we also have the release of the Fractured Butthole coming early in 2016. You got some of that. Final Fantasy should be sometime within 2016, as well as Division. These are the things that stick out the most. We'll go over this more in depth later on in this week as we hit the New Year's Day. But yeah, Division seems to be picking up a lot of momentum lately. So don't worry, guys. Even if Bungie is holding back all their new content for Destiny 2, and we don't get anything new on Destiny for the rest of the year, which I highly unlikely situation. But if that happens, I'm not going to stop uploading anytime soon for you guys. Because as long as you're here, I'm still here. That's the way it'll always be. So, my name is Jay, MorninAfterKill. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys rate, comment, subscribe. If you could leave a thumbs up on the video, I'd highly appreciate it because it gives me motivation to make more videos for you motherfuckers that watch my motherfucking videos. Make sure you leave a question in the comment section down below. This is a subscriber-driven series. Without your questions, I can't give you no answers. Then there's no more Q&As for the guys that want Q&As. So if you want more Q&As, you gotta hold up to your parts and ask the Q's. And baby, ooh, I'll give you my A. So, my name's Jay, MorninAfterKill. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you guys later.